Welcome in, Big Blue Nation, to another episode of the Cats Talk podcast. I'm your host, Cameron Johnston, joined by both of my co-hosts today, Tyler Bredden and Jacob Boyers. Guys, we have a really special episode here on Thursday, July 3rd. Big weekend coming ahead. I'm sure, Jacob, I know you got a lot of 4th of July plans. Tom, I know you're overseeing some things that you might have to skip out on the 4th of July festivities. But Jacob, why don't you go ahead and tell the listeners of the podcast what we got coming for them today?
Yeah, got a fun one. We're going to do an all-time Calipari team draft. Obviously I'm going to draft the best team. I think Cam, you'll have maybe the second best. And somehow with all the talent we're going to pick from, I don't think Tyler's team would make the tournament. But, we're here. And, good little start to the 4th of July weekend.
Do you have any comments there for Jacob?
I mean, look, this is coming from a guy who couldn't even make the TikTok live, the first ever TikTok live for the pod. We had so many likes in the first live here. I mean, we had the best fans show up, okay? And this guy could not even could he not make an appearance here. He couldn't even show up into the chat at all and just, talk with our fans that showed up. I mean, this was ridiculous. This guy calls himself a professional podcaster. This is ridiculous. He's not going to draft a good team. He's out there BSing something, being late today. I don't know what's going on. This guy's full of crap.
I'm not on the kids' TikTok. I don't understand how to work it. And I'm an old man. I got 2 kids. I'm married. I'm past the stage of my life.
Jesus.
Hey, this sounds like the Kentucky U of L rivalry. So I'm going to have to shut it down right there, fellas. Because guess what? It's time to get into this draft. Obviously, lots of different strategies you can take. Boyers, you mentioned just the amount of talent that Calipari had during his 15 years at the University of Kentucky. I think we all know who's probably going to go first overall. I think that one's probably going to be a lock. Unless Tyler throws a wrench in. I did hear him mention the name Todd Lanther off podcast before we got in here, so that might be a sneaky one here. But you guys have any questions before we get this started? We're going to do it snake draft style. Anybody hoping for the first pick, the third pick? What are you guys hoping for?
I think, Reg, you're asking for the second pick, right?
Second pick is the worst. That's the one I do not want the
most. I'm good wherever. I know my team will get on the court and dominate.
Or they'll be late.
Sounds like a loser's mentality there from Jacob Boyers. But all right, let's go ahead and get this wheel of names spinning here and see who's going to be picking first in the.
Just so the audience knows, we can't see this, so Cam's setting this however he wants.
100%.
We cannot see this, and it is Jacob Boyers is going to be having the first overall pick. Jacob, anything you'd like to tell your fans of the Calipari era draft as you're getting them started off with one player in the Cal Nation?
I mean, you mentioned it, Cam. It's a no-brainer. It's the most wide-open layup you could have. It's not only the best player of the Calipari era, it's the best player to ever put on the UK uniform, and it's not particularly close. National Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Final Four MVP, National Champ, the unibrow, the one and only Anthony Davis. It's a no-brainer.
Can say I am not shocked over here, as I previously alluded to it. Tyler, do you have anything to say about that first overall pick? Would you have gone a different direction?
Yeah, I'm not gonna give my secrets up, Cam. I know it's the number 1 pick. I know it's already been selected, but my mentality here is my team's going to be the greatest no matter what. So Anthony Davis is off the board. That just means one less name I have to worry about here. He may have been elite. He may have been the best player to ever put on a Kentucky uniform, but not anymore. This guy's been retired from Kentucky basketball for a long, long time, and it's going to show here with the second pick when I get to pick it.
Does Tyler understand that we're not?
I'm not sure if we're retired from Kentucky basketball, but I like the enthusiasm you got going there. All right, I'm going to let the wheel spin here for the second overall pick. And it is Tyler. You are up here. You got number 2 overall. Who are you going with? What are your options here?
Well, as we were kind of saying before the draft or the spin the wheel thing was going here, I think this is the hardest pick to have, but it will be the most consistent team throughout. I won't be first or last in the snake draft here. So with the second overall pick, I'm going to go ahead and go with one Mr. Boogie Cousins at the center here.
All right, I'm not going to lie to you. That was going to be one of my 2 picks here. Boogie Cousins, Tyler. Tell me what all you know about him, what you remember about his time at Kentucky. Obviously, he's got the nickname Boogie Cousins, DeMarcus Cousins. I mean, just a larger-than-life figure. One of my all-time favorite Kentucky players and was probably going to be one of my selections with my next 2 picks.
I mean, I'm just thinking of what I was watching from him, early on in his career. He's just a dominant force down there on the courts, man. He's so physical. He's so dominant down there. He was averaging about 15.1 points per game. Kentucky. He's a multiple NBA All-Star here. He's just a dominant force. He's going to beat Anthony Davis on the court any day of the week. So, we're looking forward to having a strong team here with Boogie.
I will say what, they were both teammates back in New Orleans. And Jacob, I don't know if you remember that team, but those two
fun.
with Rajon Rondo, that man was that a fun team to watch. That was probably one of my favorite teams of the last decade plus, because that might have been more than a decade ago. I don't know, man. I'm getting old. It's getting close to that time where it might have been.
I mean, yeah, it was probably at least, Davis went in 12. It was a few years after he was there. So, yeah, probably 15, 16, somewhere in that area.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be somewhere in there. All right, I think I got pretty lucky with the draw here.
Yeah.
I've got 2 number 1 overall picks back-to-back. Obviously, the guy who changed Kentucky basketball coming off the Billy Gillispie era, we're going to take John Wall. I mean, the guy's got a song after him. He's got a dance after him. Jacob's doing it right there for everybody who's watching. I mean, John Wall, he made Kentucky cool again. He was the guy, along with, like you mentioned, Tyler, DeMarcus Cousins. He brought that first team back. Obviously, we wish they would have done a lot more in that NCAA tournament. Obviously, they lost to Joe Mazzulla, who is now the head coach of the Boston Celtics. But John's going to be, one of the fastest guys we've ever seen put on a Kentucky uniform. Great finisher, great athlete. And from North Carolina, and to get him away from Duke and North Carolina was huge at that time. John Wall is going to be my pick, obviously running the point guard for me. With my 4th overall selection, I'm taking another number 1 overall selection, a guy who should have single-handedly beat Wisconsin in the Final Four, but the guy who we're going to draft for here, John Calipari, decided that wasn't going to happen. The number 1 overall pick, Karl Anthony Towns, getting him off the board. I'm going to let him shoot from the perimeter. I'm going to allow him to shoot. Testy Karl Towns, I'm going to let him develop. I'm going to let him show that full showcase that he showed since he's gotten into the NBA. So I feel good about getting John Wall and Karl Anthony Towns with back-to-back picks here, 3 and 4. Tyler, you're up with 5.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, Reg. I thought you were gonna swap 2. I thought you were going to do Karl Anthony Towns first, and then John Wall. But I can't complain with your picks here. Those would have been my next 2 picks. So congrats to you to getting those. I think we're both off to a hot start here. I think we're destroying Boyers with the first picks here. Boyers, that was just a terrible take. I don't know what you're thinking, man. But with the what are we on? 5 here? Or no, yeah, 5th overall pick here. I am going to go with De'Aaron Fox. I thought he was going to be a great point guard here for the team. It's averaging 16.7 points per game here and 4.6 assists per game as well. NBA All-Star, he was clutch on the court as well. So, he's going to be a great addition to the team to go along with Boogie.
I really have no problem with that pick, Tyler. And that was one of my favorite all-time Kentucky players. I really loved that team. Watching them lose to North Carolina was heartbreaking. Seeing those guys in the locker room tearing up had me on the edge of tears. I still hate Luke May. Part of me still hates Drake May because that's his brother. So, the hate continues. But we had a pronunciation class before this started, and you still managed to not say it right.
De'Aaron.
I told you how to pronounce it. De'Aaron.
That's on me.
You just added so many different syllables that you didn't need to. But it's good to have De'Aaron Fox on your roster, I'm sure. Jacob, you've got back-to-back with 6 and 7, and you started off strong with one of the best players in the Cal era. So here we go.
Yeah, so I knew I wanted a point guard in this spot, and there were 2 that I was thinking of over De'Aaron Fox, and I've gone back and forth in my head, but I think I'm going to go with one of the most underrated players for his time at Kentucky because he followed John Wall. People, didn't give him the respect he deserved, even though his numbers were statistically better than what Wall put up the year before, and I'm going to go with D1 and only Brandon Knight. Played very long career in the NBA. It just willed Kentucky to that Final Four that year. He, multiple game winners, including saving us against an embarrassing loss against Princeton, beat Ohio State almost at the buzzer. Yeah, give me the guy that liked to pop his chest and show off the Kentucky up front. I'm going with Brandon Knight.
Yeah, I love that pick, especially at 6 overall. He He really was that team you mentioned, especially that game winner he had against Princeton. I mean, that guy really just carried us in the NCAA tournament that year. Honestly, I thought there was a chance he might slide in here. I thought there was a chance I might have had an ability to put him at my 2 guard and run him as a more pure threat shooter a little bit later. But you took him off my board here, so you got one more pick going. Who are you taking at 7?
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with another very underrated career here, and I'm gonna have my front court squared away, and I'm gonna go ahead and take the walking double-double and Julius Randle, another guy that just carried a team to a national championship game. I mean, that team was dreadful for most of the regular season outside of Julius Randle, most consecutive double-doubles. Just really up until really the national championship game, had that team on his back the entire way. And, kind of give me a little inside presence there. And, rebounds, forget about it. My team's getting them all.
Yeah, that is a heartbreaker. Julius Randle, man, oh, man. He was a man amongst boys in that NCAA tournament run he had. Obviously, We just ran into a wall with UConn, and UConn wasn't even the best team that we played in that tournament run. Really don't know why we lost that game or how we lost that game, but I will say I did like those back-to-back pulls here from Jacob Boyers. I do think he is getting a solid team put together here. Tyler, you're on the clock, sir.
Yeah, you see, we're differing on that. I don't think Boyers' picks were good at all. I'm not gonna lie. I had Brandon Knight going in the 5th round here. I got Julius Randle going in the 6th round here. So very disappointed with Boyers here. His picks might be a little off. He might be a little jaded. I don't know what happened. I think he drank the Kool-Aid on his way here. He might be a little intoxicated. We need to get him checked after this podcast. But with my pick here, I'm going to go with Devin Booker. He plays for my team down there in Phoenix. He's one of the best to ever do it, I think, in my opinion. I may be a little bit jaded here as well. But he's an all-star. He led the Suns to the finals. He had a 70-point game himself. Give me Devin Booker. He's going to be an all-star for this Kentucky team.
I will say in response to Tyler's pick there, nobody had a better month than Devin Booker at Kentucky. But I would argue maybe no one had a more disappointing March than the same guy.
Yeah, Devin really struggled down the stretch there. But like you said,
since that month of February, he could not miss.
Since getting into the league, I mean, Devin is really I think he's broke anybody's expectations. He's obviously the face of the Phoenix Suns. Even when KD was there, D-Book was still the face of that team. I'm not sure if I would have went there, Tyler. It was going to be up there. It's going to be one of my options. But just from what he did at the University of Kentucky, obviously he's known for coming off the bench that year with how stacked that team was. So some would say, if he couldn't crack the starting lineup in that season, why are you taking him this early? I'm going to give you a pass because of how great he was in the NBA. I got back-to-back picks here. I'm not going to lie. Jacob really threw a wrench in my plan. I was getting a lot of systems down in here. I thought I had everything going. But I'm already looking at my team. John's got a lot of speed. He's a great creator. I need a shooter on the outside that he can get the ball to. Jamal Murray had one of the best seasons in UK history. I mean, him and Ulis, that backcourt that year, and I'm sure he's going to come off the board here soon as well. I mean, they were just electric. Give me a guy who I know who's going to knock down the three. I don't know, Jacob. I don't know how long it's been since you've seen that bow and arrow move, but man,
I still hit it all the time in the backyard.
I know you do. I've seen you do it quite some time.
You saw me play. I was hitting it on the drinking games last Saturday every once in a while.
Yep. I love it. So I'm getting Jamal Murray here with that pick. And this is where I start to really think. I got the shooters. I got my shooting big. And I feel like this is where I got to play a little chess here with you guys. There's not that many great wings during the Calipari era. So I'm going to get the guy let me get some defense. Let me get some length. A guy who's going to be able to rebound. Number 2 pick right behind Anthony Davis. And that's MKG, Michael Kidd-Gilchrist. I mean, he was very good that year. Obviously, the pro career did not turn out how he would have liked. He's kind of a meme for that jump shot he had with the Charlotte Bobcats. I know you guys have seen that go around. But MKG, while he was here, man, I mean, that Louisville game he had on our way to winning that 2012 national championship. We obviously don't win number 8 without him. So I feel really good about getting MKG here.
Love it.
Yeah, Cam, I think those were two fantastic picks back to back here. I think it's definitely between you and I going to the final stretch here. You took Jamal Murray. I had him in round 2. He slid a little bit for me, and then my next pick was going to be MKG as well. So good pick there. You really left me one choice for my round 3, or excuse me, round 4 pick here. Let's go ahead and get me. We're going to go Trey Lyles here for my 4th spot here. We'll definitely need him to bolster the team here. He's a versatile forward. He has a stretch ability. He's a solid rotational player in the NBA as well. So he's going to definitely do me well here on the starting lineup.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly did more out of Trey's pro career. You know, he looked like that prototypical NBA big that was going to start developing more in the NBA. I mean, he stuck around for a long time, especially after – usually when you get drafted to Sacramento, that's where careers go to die. I mean, look at DeMarcus Cousins. He had to play with that organization for however long. Same thing with De'Aaron Fox. I probably wouldn't have went Trey Lyles this early in the draft, but I'm not surprised to see him go here. He was a lottery pick and on a very good team in 2014, 2015.
Yeah, and I'm going to come back. And, I mean, this wasn't my vision when I was building this team, but, I mean, if you tell me the guy that probably had one of the best statistical point guard seasons in, you know, the Calipari era, you know, didn't have the size for the NBA, but was perfectly fine for the college game. If you tell me Tyler Ulis is still there, I got to take him. I guess I'll slide Brandon Knight over to the 2 guard. And, I mean, I'm going to go small besides that front court, but who cares? I got Anthony Davis protecting the rim. And I'm going to come out with another pick that I don't think you guys probably think should fly off the board this early, but with AD and Julius Randle demanding so many double teams and attention down low, I'm going to take the guy that scored the most points in that national championship game. I'm going with Deion Lamb. Team no sleep. There's not a better open shooter that I think is ever played at this school. If he was open, it was getting knocked down. He obviously been from playing with AD. I'm going to team him up with AD one more time.
Yeah, I mean, I like the lineup. You're consistent here. I mean, obviously I just didn't have a spot for Tyler Ulis on my team. I'd already gotten John Wall.
I understand.
I mean, Ulis, you mentioned, had one of the best seasons as a point guard, especially in the Calipari era. I mean, it's a great pick. I like it. I just don't think he would have fit in with my roster. Tyler, you are back up on the board. Who are you going with?
Yeah, we are a very interesting part of this draft here. We're on round 4. I'm looking at my roster here. We got a pretty solid lineup. What's that?
You're in round 5, pal.
I said round 5. I did not say round 4. Dumbass.
Round
but just look at my team. There's only one position that I'm missing right now, and that's the power forward position. Argument could be made that Boogie can kind of switch back and forth between that and center. He's my center right now. So I'm going to fill that power forward with one versatile PJ Washington. Nice productive starter there.
This team's not guarding mine. I'm just going to be honest. We are going to spread you out and eat you alive.
You know, he averages about 15.2 points per game back in his sophomore year, and got 7.5 rebounds per game. He's going to be between him and Boogie. They're going to get some rebounds. We're going to get the ball out. We're going to have some good times there down low.
Yeah, you know, this is where I really start to struggle because
it's hard.
I was not the biggest PJ Washington fan. I just think he just happened to be a part of a team that wasn't that great and was able to. Obviously, Shea started to lead that team towards the end of that year. I'm not the biggest PJ Washington fan, especially with you playing him either the 3 or the 4. Trey Lyles is about 6'10", so you playing him at the 3 is a little out of position for him. I'm not sure how that's going to go, especially like you mentioned, you're going to have to keep up with a backcourt of Brandon Knight, Tyler Ulis, and Deron Lamb with Trey Lyles running around with one of those guys, or running around with Jamal Murray and John Wall. It doesn't seem like they're going to be up on the defensive end of the ball.
In the words of Shaquille O'Neal, barbecue chicken. That's what my team's thinking, lining up against Tyler's.
I love it. I'll tell you what, power forward, I got to get him. Give me Bam Adebayo. I need a rim protector along with Cat, a guy who can get up and down the floor. This team, I'll tell you what, with MKG, John Wall, Jamal Murray, and Cat, and Bam Adebayo, might be one of the most athletic teams you've seen. We're getting up and down the floor. We're pressing you. And we're going to have the ability 1 through 5 to be able to shoot the rock. Honestly, my worst shooter might be John Wall, and that's kind of a crazy thing to say. But I'd like to get Bam Adebayo put into that power forward role here for my team. And like we said, I don't know if we mentioned it before we started, we're going to get 3 bench guys. So we're now all into the first round of the bench here. And this is where I start to struggle, man, because you could just take anything.
There's a lot of really good players still sitting.
There's a ton of great players that are still out there. It's just based on what you really want to go with. And, man, I'm struggling. I'm down between 2 guys here. It's whether I want shooting or if I want a little bit of both and a little bit of playmaking. I'm going to go ahead and go with SGA here. I mean, the guy just signed a 4-year, $285 million contract. Down that stretch of that season, he was incredible. Obviously, we know the infamous story of Quad A Green starting over him to begin the year. But Shea won the SEC Finals MVP, and he was the reason we were able to go on a little bit of run in that tournament. Really one of the last tournaments we've had a lot of success in. I'm going to go ahead and take SGA, the NBA MVP. Arguably, like you said, Jacob, you threw out a lot of big claims on Anthony Davis being the best cat of all time. For his time at Kentucky, yes. But now when you're talking about
that's what we're picking off of, right?
We are, but you gotta balance a little bit of both, especially if you're looking at Tyler's team. If you're looking at Tyler's team.
Well, that's why I'm saying we're gonna beat his team by I mean,
if you're taking their college prime, I'm talking about the full body of work of the player.
No, we're talking
college and pro.
When they were at Kentucky.
Well, that wasn't the description we did at the beginning of this.
If you didn't understand the assignment, that is not my problem.
Listen, pal, you just showed up. We were talking about this for 2 hours while we waited for you today, okay? Can you hurry up next time and get to the meetings early so we can talk this through? Jeez.
Calipari also did not understand the assignment with a lot of these teams either.
Well, all right. Al's not coaching, I am.
Especially late.
All right, Tanner, your first bench guy, who are you going with here?
Yeah, I got some bigs down there, so I don't really need to worry about that for right now. I think the first guy off my bench, I just need someone that can come out there and just really shoot the ball around and get some points for me. So I'm going to go with Malik Monk here, 19.8 points per game. He was 39.7% from 3. Explosive shooter, elite bench scorer, and a good piece to the Lakers here for a while. So I'm going to go with him to bolster my bench.
Yeah, Tyler, that was who I was down between. I was down between SGA and Malik Monk. Decided to go with SGA, but I could have gone either way there. I like that pick. I honestly think that's probably been your best value pick and your best pick so far in this draft. So it did happen to come in round 6, so you're a little late to the party, but I just up for the draft. All right, Jacob, how are we looking for 6th-round pick for you? Your first guy to come off the bench.
This is absolutely insanity that this guy is still here when you look at what he did at Kentucky. But I do think it shows just how good, especially power forward center was under Cal for at least those first, 5 years. I'm going to take one of the very few consensus first-team All-Americans. We've only had, 5 in school history, and Willie Cauley-Stein was one of them.
That's my next one.
When Calipari's had that line about we're not making subs, we're just bringing in reinforcements, that's my mindset here. As soon as AD comes out, you just got maybe, one of the best 3 shot blockers to ever play here coming in to sub in for him. And again, consensus first team All-American, a top, 5 pick in the NBA draft. Give me Willie.
Yeah,
and then,
I'm going to be honest with you here, Jacob. I love Willie the person, but Willie in those first 2 years, man.
Well, I get him at his peak at Kentucky. That would be the
you do,
first
but
team.
That peak also benefited from him having a lot of talent around him. I'm not trying to squander any of the Willie Cauley-Stein names.
Sounds like you are. It sounds like you're being the biggest hater I've ever met.
But you just made it seem like you just got the biggest value pick. I genuinely don't know if it was on my draft board.
That's insane. That says a lot more about you than it does me and my team. I'm going to be honest, and if we put a poll out there, I guarantee you the Cats Talk Pod Nation would agree. Now, with this one, I do struggle because I did want to get Malik Monk off my bench. So I'm going between 2 guards, and they happen to be teammates in a year.
I know where this is going.
Give the slight edge. I'm going to go Emmanuel Quickly, a guy that I think, was the year of COVID playing as well as not just anybody on Kentucky, anybody in the nation. I mean, him and Nick Richards, of all people, win co-SEC Players of the Year. Just another absolute knockdown shooter. So, give me Quickly.
I like the pick. I mean, he was going to be up there for one of my later picks here in this round coming up. I do think, like you mentioned, with that COVID year happening and him not being able to go in the tournament, not being able to do the SEC tournament, anything like that, kind of hindered a little bit of the shine that Kentucky fans give him, because that progress he made from his freshman to sophomore season
Huge.
was incredible. And he was a really, really, really big part of that team. That was probably the last Calipari team that I felt could actually do something in the tournament outside of, 2017, who did a little bit in the tournament.
And, I mean, he flipped the switch right there to start SEC play in that second year and was phenomenal.
Absolutely. All right, Tyler. Go for it, pal. You're up.
I'm going to need some help pronouncing this name because I'm not going to lie, I'm struggling with it. But Oscar Thewby or
I was about to say, it would be insane if the National Player of the Year went undrafted. But
Tom, I do love the pick, especially because, National Player of the Year. But just for the style of basketball he plays, he was not going to be mentioned with my team. And his name is pronounced Oscar Shibwe. So if we want to pronounce that again, you can give it another.
Oscar Shibwe. Yeah. I'm gonna take Oscar Shibwe here to be on my team as that National Player of the Year, and then the monster rebounder he was, averaging about 15.1 rebounds per game and getting about 17.4 points per game. So absolute monster. He's going to fit in just well right next to Boogie.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure if he will fit just right in there. Well, that's a lot of clog and a lot of man down low. And two guys that don't move incredibly well.
This is my bench. You're talking about my bench. My bad. I should rephrase. He's coming off the bench, taking it over.
Yeah, well, on my bench, I've only got one guy, and he was the SEC tournament MVP. He was the NBA Finals MVP and the NBA MVP. So pump the brakes on your.
Tyler can argue off of his bench is the National Player of the Year. So I would say that.
Yeah, but when you can't say his name right, it kind of ruins everything that you had going there for you. So, all right. I got to get some size on my bench. All I got right now is SGA. And, you put Willie up there in the top 3 shot blockers in Kentucky history.
I'm going to assume you're going to take the number 1.
This guy is over him. I don't know if you remember watching those highlights of him in high school.
I do.
Fear the flat top. Give me Nerlens Noel. Get him in here. Just an elite rim protector. Imagine that coming off the bench. Oscar Shibwe's getting no shots up on Nerlens Noel. It's just not going to happen. Everything's going to be sent back.
Nerlens was absolutely unbelievable. I'll never forget that Ole Miss game where he picks up 4 fouls with like 10 minutes to go and then doesn't pick up a 5th and has like 6 blocked shots in those 10 minutes. Like, truly special. If he doesn't get hurt that year, that team makes the tournament. And who knows, maybe we're even talking about him in a completely different light. So, love it. I love the pick.
Yeah, and there's a lot of guys here that I'm looking at that I want to draft, and I don't want to go undrafted. It's really killing me to see some of these names that I'm not going to select. I got to get somebody with a little bit of length and the ability to shoot the basketball. I'm really down between 2 guys.
I feel it's coming, the guy I want to take.
I'm not sure where I want to go. I think one slept on just because the NBA career didn't pan out exactly how you would have liked. Great shooter. I know Boyers knows who I'm talking about. And I think I'm going to go ahead and go with Antonio Reeves. He had the ability to put the ball on the deck. He's got length as well. That senior season that he had was incredible, and Cal wasted it. Once again, like we mentioned with a lot of these guys, wasted the talent. Came over from Illinois State. One of the only transfers, I swear, that has worked outside of Oscar Shibwe and him that have worked in the Calipari era. So I'm going to finish out my bench with Antonio Reeves, all SEC first-team player and almost won SEC Player of the Year. I think that's a good way to round out my team.
Yeah. Real quick, I don't know if we can just tarnish the name of Nate Sestina like that, especially after what he did in TBT last year. Like, let's not leave our boy Nate.
I don't know if that's where I was going to go with this one, but
we're talking about transfers here.
Yeah.
Can I give you one honestly good transfer that I know is not going to get picked here? Julius Mace.
Yeah, he just happened to be on one of the worst teams in the Calipari era, so it's just going to get blossomed over.
If Nerlens doesn't get hurt and Archie Goodwin is half the player you expect, Julius Mace would have fit that role absolutely perfect.
And if Willie doesn't get hurt, Willie was, he was in it that year as well, so
yep.
There was a lot of what ifs with that team. Obviously, I got Nerlens, you got Willie. I mean, I thought that was going to be the Twin Towers that year, man. Imagine getting a shot over those guys if they both stayed healthy the entire season. All right, Tyler, you have one pick left. Round out your team here. Who are you going with?
Yeah, I'm just looking at some of the names that haven't been picked here, and looking at my spot, looking at my team. I think I might go with Tyler Hero here. Shooting guard here. Look, he was sixth man of the year in the NBA. I think that's an appropriate spot for him to come in and be the bench player, my final bench player. He's a clutch shooter, average about 14 points per game here. He's a shot creator as well, so I think he'll be versatile coming off the bench here and helping out the team.
Yeah, and he's got that clutch factor. He obviously hit that game winner over Houston to send us another round in the NCAA tournament. So I do like that pick there from you, Tyler. But he was not one of the two guys that I was thinking for that last pick. I don't know if Jacob's thinking about him here. We got a lot of guys that are left on the board. Jacob, you're making the last pick of the 2025 Cats Talk podcast, all-time John Calipari era Kentucky draft. Who's the final selection? Mr. Irrelevant. Who's it going to be?
This is tough. I mean, there's so many guys on the board. I know we can kind of talk honorable mentions that didn't get picked here, but there's so many good players still sitting there. For my particular team, I think I need a guy that can defend a little bit, and knock down some shots. A guy that I think showed moments of being really, really good here at times, and then also is having a pretty solid NBA career. I'm going to go with Keldon Johnson. I think he fits the roster perfect, and another guy that I think maybe a little undervalued for his time at Kentucky. You talked about you didn't love PJ Washington, Cam. I think Keldon was probably the best player on that team, and I think you've seen it with what he's done with the Spurs since then. But I'll take Keldon there, and there's obviously a ton of people that we still haven't picked.
Yeah, I mean, I like the Keldon Johnson pick. I do think he would have went undrafted in my lineup here. I don't think he would have been one of the guys that I was looking at in the short term. But guys, let's go ahead and recap your team. Tyler, we'll start with you. Tell us who you got, who's your starting five, and give me your three guys off the bench so we can recap it for the listeners.
Yeah, starting off with the winning team here, we have Boogie at center. We have De'Aaron Fox at point guard. We have Devin Booker at shooting guard. We have Trey Lyles at small forward, and you have PJ Washington at power forward. And then our three guys on our bench, we have Malik Monk. We have Oscar and Tyler Hero.
I can't believe you mispronounced his name twice. I don't even know how I sho'd help you when I tell you how to say it 4 different times. I mean, at some point we got to learn. I don't think Tyler's team's going to learn and adapt, especially when he's running a 6'9", 6'10" Trey Lyles out there at small forward.
I'm going to have his team gassed.
Tyler, I think you did your best work on the bench, and I don't even think it's remarkably close. Getting Malik Monk, Oscar Tshiebwe, and I noticed that you made sure to not say his last name, but you did the first time I said it, and Tyler Hero. I do think you have a really good bench, but I do think with your 3 and 4 running Trey Lyles and PJ Washington, that's going to be attacked, especially with lineups that Boyers and I have. Jacob, go ahead. Give me your starting five and your bench.
Yeah, so we got, Tyler Eulis at the point guard, Brandon Knight playing off ball, followed by, I really could go either way, even though I picked quickly on the bench, but him and Duran are going to be interchangeable there. And then obviously Julius Randle, and then rounded out the starting five with the best player to ever wear the jersey and Anthony Davis. And then off the bench, we got Willie and Keldon Johnson and quickly. I think I got the best team. I think if Vegas was setting lines, Cam, mine and your game, I'd be about a 1.5 favorite. It'd be really close. I really like your team. We're right there. Against Tyler's team, I think we're both 15-plus point favorites.
Yeah, it's more, I might say Tyler might have the best bench of the group, but it was just the way in which he constructed that starting lineup. And I'm going to be honest with you. I think if you're running Duran Lamb as your starting shooting or starting small forward, I think you're getting run off the court as well. I mean, I just don't have it.
No sleep.
I don't see it. Duran Lamb is not getting an open shot.
20 points in a national. He's not getting an open shot against who?
Michael Kidd Gilchrist, probably
That's
the best.
fine. That's fine. That's fine. Then you're not helping against AD and Julius Randle, and I'm fine with it.
Have
I'm
Adebayo, who stacks up very physically to Julius Randle as well, and
barbecue
Carl
chicken.
Anthony Towns, who has the
Barbecue
same
chicken.
and
Barbecue chicken.
ability to get to the rack and shoot from
Barbecue chicken.
that Anthony Davis does. I'll go ahead and recap my lineup. Of course, we've got John Wall running the point, the number 1 overall pick of the draft. Jamal Murray, one of the only 20 points per game scorers in the Calipari era. The bow and arrow, Jacob, you still do it to this day. Jamal Murray, the best on-ball defender in the Calipari era in Michael Kidd Gilchrist. He can match up 1 through 4, and you feel great about who he's matching up against. I got Bam Adebayo running the 4, a versatile big who can stretch the floor, get out on the move, create transition, and, attempt shots at the rim. And then Carl Anthony Towns. He can bring the ball up the court. He can pass. He can facilitate. He can knock down shots, play back to the basket. Carl Anthony Towns, great there as well. And I got an MVP coming off the bench in SGA. A guy who, when you get guys coming off the bench, what do you want? You want them to be able to control the pace, be able to look for their own shot, make shots for other guys. Imagine SGA with a rim runner like Nerlens Noel and Antonio Reeves spotting up in the corner. There just are no weaknesses in this lineup. And for that reason, if this was an 82-game season like the NBA, we're challenging for 72-10 like the Golden State Warriors in their prime run. And it's really just not close.
Cam, I actually think your toughest lineup to stop would be, as crazy as it sounds, and a guy that I loved here, but if you played Reeves over MKG with those other guys, that's a dangerous lineup right there. That's a tough 3-guard lineup to go out there and stop.
Yeah, I agree, but I also need somebody in MKG who, when Tyler has De'Aaron Fox running around the court, when you have Brandon Knight and Tyler Ulis, I need somebody who can erase that with length and the ability to match them side to side. And I think he gives me the ability to do that.
I think we can agree. We can just ignore Tyler's team, I think.
Tyler's bench should probably start on his team for some of those guys. So
just like a typical Cal team. Just a typical Cal team here.
We might as well just call you Tyler Calipari and try and move you in with you, Ellen, and Brad. Seem like you guys would just be a happy family.
He does seem like he could be a Calipari son. Him and Brad have a lot of similarities. Same haircut. They kind of look
pale and white with that same haircut.
Earn, not given.
Earn, yeah, exactly. Show up late. Don't put in the work. Don't put in the time. Just know you're going to be given something. That describes Tyler Calipari to a T. I do want to mention some of the
some honorable mentions
undrafted guys that went in here. And a guy that I was thinking of, Jacob, I know you remember that 2014 National Championship game and James Young coming down the center of the court.
Grossest dunk.
And just throwing it left-handed over Amita Brima. I was in Dallas, Texas watching that game. He just jams it over him. That's who I was debating to when I was taking Antonio Reeves and James Young. Well, that's who I was looking for with my last pick. So it's good to see that I probably would have gotten him here. That's one of my big honorable mentions. There's obviously a lot more. Jacob, are there any guys that you want to show and spotlight?
Yeah, just 2 guys from Cal's last year that were both, Reed Shepard was the number 3 overall pick. Rob Dillingham, one of the most electric scorers and players, of the Calipari era in general. Like there's so much that, you kind of forget about it. And then you even have like some guys that, while they were in school were really, really good. And maybe the pro career didn't pan out. But if you give me a senior year Alex Poitras somewhere along the line, like
Marcus Lee, Terrence Jones. There's a lot of guys that
T. Jones, unreal, like that. Just it does show how great some of these teams.
Patterson, Darius Miller, the Harrison twins, Tyrese Maxey. There's a lot of guys that went undrafted in here that you could make a case should have been drafted. And Eric Bledsoe, Danny Orton, both first-round picks. You got a lot of guys that produced while at the University of Kentucky that unfortunately didn't hear their name called here. I don't think they're going to mind. If someone else wants to send it to them and tell them that they went undrafted in the Cats Talk pod draft, please be my guest. But I do have one guy that I know I'm not drafted, and that's going to be Khalil Whitman.
Hey, he's back. The Dragon is back. The thing is, though, like we realistically, I know we did 8 picks. Like we could have done 15-man rosters and like not ran out of play. I mean, Tyler might have struggled a little bit towards the end, but I mean, there's so many players. Like I think it's going to be a little more challenging when we get to the Tubby one, But we could talk. This podcast could be 3 hours of just naming Calipari players and talking about what they did here.
I mean, I'm still having names come to my head of guys that we didn't even talk about, like Kevin Knox.
Darnell Dotson. We didn't even. How about a little?
What about DeAndre Liggins, Patrick
Yeah,
Patterson? I mean, there's just guys that had that crossover between the old Billy G days. I mean, we love those Billy G days, so getting those guys coming over from that era was good as well. And I think they just
not the 1 year of Perry Stevenson on the Calipari roster.
Out Jorts, little Josh Harrelson. He had a great run there. Obviously famous for. Tyler, I don't know if you remember this. You claimed to be, sort of a Buckeye fan. You know how all Ohio State fans are. They don't really care about the program. They just try to show up for the celebration. But Josh Harrelson saves the ball. There's Jared Solinger, and at that time, I don't know if you remember, Jared Solinger was like all world. Everybody thought he was going to be great in the NBA.
Number 1 overall team in the tournament that year.
Yep. And guess what? Jared Solinger sucked in the NBA because he went to the Celtics and he sucked. Rondo tried to help out his career, and he couldn't because he was awful. But George gets that ball and it fires it right at his Nuggets and goes out on Ohio State. And guess what? That's what the Cats do.
How about another SEC tournament MVP? A guy that you wouldn't come to mind that he even won it. How about Dominique Hawkins?
I wouldn't have given you that one. I forgot about that, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. Him and Derek Willis and, just so many players. Seriously, you could have done a 15-man. We could have each picked 2 separate starting lineups, and we could still be going.
Yeah, really could. I mean, obviously, we'll let the fans, pick which roster they think is the best. I mean, I got a feeling where they're going to go. Sorry, guys. I mean, it's just
not going to be Tyler.
Just how it is. I mean, Tyler's got the NBA pedigree with a lot of these guys, but if people watch, their college time mixed in, it's a little bit mixed bag of what we got here. But I do think it was a great draft all in all. I do think all the guys who deserve to be drafted were. There were some questionable picks. Keldon Johnson sneaking in here I did not have planned, if I'm being honest. And I think that's probably the most questionable pick, but it was the last pick of the draft, so you could have went a lot of different ways. When you're Mr. Irrelevant, it usually doesn't pan out, and it really didn't for you.
He's panning out on this team. When there's going to be a game where he goes out and drops 20, or maybe hits a half-court shot like he did against Seton Hall, but there will be a game where he makes his presence known.
I don't know if you remember that Seton Hall game, but we ended up losing anyway, so it didn't really.
I mean, he got us there. That was probably the most hyped I've been for a single regular season moment, probably ever. I mean, you don't expect the half courts to go in, so.
No, you really don't. Tyler, you got anything else to say about your team? One last persuasion to Big Blue Nation on why Tyler Britton's team should be the best and is the best.
I mean, I'm going to put it out there. Well, you guys are resting on the bench and you guys are just chilling out and trying to catch your breath. My bench is going to go out there and absolutely dominate. So I think it's going to be closer than you guys think. I think you guys don't have a prayer.
We're still not getting to the rim on either one of our benches. Willie and Nerlens are sending all of that back.
Don't have to get to the rim. I can shoot over top. No big deal.
I would agree to disagree, but that's why we have 3 different guys in here, 3 different ways to build a lineup. Obviously, this was really fun, guys. We're going to try and do one next week, July 10th. Obviously, while the offseason's still a little bit slow, we're going to go with Orlando Tubby Smith era. And I already hope you guys know if I get 1-1, you know where I'm going. It doesn't matter. You know exactly where it's going to be. Guys, do you have anything before we sign off and let everybody enjoy their long weekend and 4th of July?
Nope. Have a good weekend, everybody. And I still have the best team.
Tyler, got anything to say? You want to say anything to the troops? Thank them?
Yeah, I mean, congratulations to America. 249 years claiming our independence here. So definitely exciting time. I'm going to be here in D.C. Might make my way down to the Capitol to watch some fireworks down there for 249. And, I have some friends that are going to be out in the South Lawn watching it. I'm kind of jealous, but it's going to be an exciting day for everyone. So hopefully I don't get tied up doing work or anything. Hopefully I can get a chance to go out there and actually check it out. Same thing with you guys. I hope you guys have the opportunity to go see some fireworks, Boise with the kids and Cam with your family here. But in the meantime, go Big Blue. My team's number 1.
Yep. Thanks to all the troops and all the soldiers for fighting for our country so we can do stuff like this in our basements and in our living rooms and in our bedrooms where we can do the things that we love, talking about Kentucky sports, bringing you guys some content. Because I think we all can admit, Tyler might not admit this, but we're not men enough to go suit up in battle and protect this country. Tyler's going to say he is, but he had the chance and didn't.
Oh, here we go.
At Big Blue Nation, enjoy the 4th of July. Thank you to the troops and soldiers for everything you do. God bless the USA. Courtesy of the red, white, and blue. Rest in peace, Toby Keith, and go Cats.
Okay.